wise ones, to our Chat with Matt, where we discuss the 10 spiritual facts and how they apply to topical and current affairs.
Here it is. This is the way the world works. Wake up. Well, and I'm doing so much better.
Excellent.
Yep. You'll be able to ask my kids. You've done wonders with me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
That's because you've got someone else to talk to, so you don't have to bother them with it.
Amen, sister. That's exactly it. They can't fathom that there's somebody out in the world that actually wants to talk about this shit.
Well, I do.
I mean, do you have any inkling that we could actually make a difference with this stuff, or is it all just kind of an exercise?
I think it will touch the people that it's meant to touch, and those people will come into contact with what we're talking about because they're meant to, and it will awaken them and it will do something for them. But will it? I don't share your vision that, you know, suddenly loads of people are going to wake up, but because I'm cynical, I suppose. I wish that I did share your very
Optimism.
hopeful view, your optimism. Yeah.
Right. And I'm with you because if you think about it, there's thousands of podcasts having these types of discussions.
Indeed.
And will it make a difference? So the thing is this is where, again, it makes no sense to do this. Again, when you say it'll reach the people, again, your audience is people who are looking for these types of answers.
Yes.
Okay. But these are not the people who control the world.
No.
Okay. The people who are informed are, there's just not enough of them and they've been marginalized. You know what I mean? And so I really want to, again, to me, and you see kind of some of the discourse I'm having with Alex, it's like, I just want to figure out an angle that makes a difference. I don't want to do this to where all of a sudden we end up on the same pile, scrap heap of a bunch of people who gave it the old college try and failed. So it is an optimist. And again, this is where you come in, and it's nice that I can bounce these things off you, because one of the things I believe is crucially different about the facts is we're done with the please and thank you. That's crucial. Okay, because you can reach certain people and they're going to go, yeah, I understand. I agree with all this stuff. But the most important part is the people who do disagree. These people need to be exposed. Okay. And again, that's where I'm not patient with the writing. I want to take the fight to the streets. Okay. Basically, and again, maybe it's because I've reached this age in my life, that, and I believe we can take the fight to the streets and win the fight, because we have the biggest weapon, and that's truth. And the moment I can, and again, this is where I have grandiose visions that says, listen, man, I'm gonna put this thing on Oprah Winfrey's desk. She's a globalist. She sits down with the Bill Gates of the world and all of these central players. And instead of us waiting and hoping that millions of people will see this podcast, I'm going to shove it down her throat. And I'm going to say, I want your answer. What do you think? And again, call that rude, call it what be it. But if somebody doesn't change the dynamics of the narrative, it's all for naught. What's our point? I mean, let's say we get 1 million views with this thing. Who cares? We've made zero difference. So there has to be some strategy that says, if you are viewing this podcast and you agree with the content and you understand the purpose of this is to truly change minds. This guy might sound really grandiose when he says the Great Awakening, but when does that begin? Why can this not be the seeds of the Great Awakening? It's just truth. It's just simply saying we've compiled what's most important. We want people to look at it, to consider it, but most importantly, we're going to use it to hold people accountable. And that's the difference. I'm ready to fight the fight. I'm done with the please and thank you. And this list of facts I see as a tool that allows me to go in and start swinging hammers.
Yeah. Okay. So it was interesting when I watched the last one back. It was so interesting because in watching it back, I saw a completely different conversation happening between the two of us.
Really?
Than what I felt was happening when when we got into a bit of a wrangle and I was trying to pin you down, it was really interesting. So my intuitive sense of you in the last conversation was so much more than just the words that were being exchanged, which was really fascinating to me.
But why is that? Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What do you think? So in other words, you kind of envisioned that we said certain things when you went back and looked at the tape. It was different. Can you put your finger on it?
Yeah, because the essence of what I was saying to you is I was talking about a difference in agenda for both of us. So you want to just put the facts out there, right? Done those facts, move on. And you were saying about your impatience, and I felt that I was opposing you in a way, because I wanted to go through each fact and dissect it a bit. And so we were having that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
But the feeling that I was experiencing at the time when we were having the conversation was so much bigger than it appeared to be when I watched it back.
Right. That's because my guess is because you and I are communicating. I mean, we're looking into each other's eyes, our minds are there, but that doesn't necessarily transcend into somebody who's a third party listening.
No, exactly that.
Right. And again, that's a problem. There's a lot of noise. It's no different than you and I creating this beautiful song, and even our family members don't want to hear it.
Mm.
You know, it's just, so that needs to be part of the focal point that says, how do we change that? That's ridiculous that there can be this type of content and it just ends up on the scrap heap of noise. And I just believe it's you and I looking, in other words, figuring out what the agenda is. Is the agenda just for you and I to go through these things and for those that watch the podcast to become somewhat enlightened, or is it the objective for you and I to make a difference in the world? Because if it does, then we need to put our inhibitions aside. We need to be prepared to put on some gloves. We need to go into the market, start fighting for these ideas. And so, again, the book is beautiful. I mean, it's something that accompanies the conversation, that simplifies it, that says, listen, anybody go to selfishtruth.com. This stuff is all free. If you want to bring you up to speed in terms of what we're talking about, this stuff is all free. Okay, because again, it's not about selling books. It's not. The books will come. Everything will come. Prosperity will come. All of that stuff will come. But that just has to take a backseat to the concept. And the concept is to change minds, because again, I hate to use this, but this tattoo right here says, change your mind, change your life. And that's what we need to do. So we need to change their minds, but we also need to change their lives that say, oh my God, I get this shit. It's common sense. I'm going to bat for this world. I'm done with the status quo and the parade in and out of the turnstiles or in and out of the voting booths and the status quo. We're going to shake that up. We're going to create a scenario where every single journalist, I'm a journalist, yet I work for the corporate deep state media, and I read the script. Yeah. I'm telling people I'm objective, but I'm not. I'm a liar. I'm a paid whore. Yeah. Okay. And I want that comment on the desk of every single journalist in the deep state.
And that point just there that you've just said can be absolutely proven, because there are videos of different newsreaders from different countries, and it literally is a script that they're following.
Well, so absolutely. It's a complete charade. And again, when you think of some of the news anchors that you've seen, the Peter Jennings, these people all across time. Okay. If you understand how human consciousness works, there is no such thing as objectivity. There is my paradigm. Yeah. If I'm going to be objective, I'm going to say, this is my paradigm. It's from my perspective. They don't do any of that. They go into it saying, I'm objective. I'm going to give you the conservative angle. And of course, it's all a charade. But the part that I've lost patience with is the fools who still believe them.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the term wealth. Okay, now Oprah, give me 15 minutes. Okay, Biden, give me 15 minutes. Let's see if we can go from ignorant to informed. And if I do that, and I put somebody in those circumstances, the words of truth come with accountability. I've now, in public, hopefully, watched them be exposed by truth. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not worried about selling books. I'm looking forward to making a difference here. I'm looking to go face to face with some of the greatest globalists in this world with a fucking shit-eating grin on my face and go, talk to me, my friend. Which part of fact number one do you have a problem with? And watch them squirm.
But you see, what occurs to me as you're talking is, I think you should go out touring with it. I do.
Again, and I could do that. Okay,
Yeah.
but what separates me from the other millions?
Well,
why do I have any more credibility than the next guy?
Well, why did Jordan Peterson? He went out and did exactly that, and he's huge. He's huge.
Did the world change?
Well, he changed lots of people's lives.
Yeah, but still, it's still going to slide into the abyss. The public sector is still going to continue to rampage, and I mean, nothing's changed. He may have found a good host of people that already agreed with him. And I'm not diminishing his gains. Don't get me wrong. I'm simply saying, what's the end goal? Is the end goal to have reached 1 million people and all of a sudden we got a bunch of people that agree with us, but nothing changes? I don't, again, it would be nice to be, again, like George Orwell is a perfect example. Okay, the guy wrote a book that is truly a pillar of human consciousness. And what I would guess 1% of the population even knows who the guy is. So that's where I am reluctant, because again, I want to cut to the chase. I want to pull out the gloves, and I can do the, hey, let's take the time, and over the course of the next 3 years, maybe we'll sell 1 million books. But by the time all that happens, what's happening in this world is too late. I mean, these people can't stop themselves. They need help. For all the people we look around this world and castigate them as blame, like they're in control, they're the reason for the mess. 90% of the people are just, they're complicit, but they're also not the one calling the shots. You know what I mean? You got this huge 30 million deep state person, but most of those people, and I shouldn't say most, but a lot of those people in the deep state agree with us that this is a bad scenario, but there ain't a damn thing they could do about it. They need someone to throw them a line, and I'm hoping that's where the facts come in. Where all of a sudden they go, hey, yeah, okay, I've been working here in the deep state. I don't necessarily believe in this stuff, and the facts gives me the leverage to come out and be honest about the corruption I witnessed of these types of things. You get what I'm saying? If you look at classified information, okay, let's say you get to be, you're now cleared for classified information. Do you know what that means across the board? It simply means that you are now qualified to where I am going to show you the corruption we do. And if you say anything, you'll be held accountable. Yeah. That's what classified is. It's saying you're privy to it. We are all corrupt. The moment you sign this thing and say, I will be accept, and I refuse to say it, they're saying, okay, here's the way it works. It's completely corrupt. You are now in on the game. And should you change your mind, these are the consequences. Look at Snowden and, Joseph Snowden and those guys. Basically what they did is they were inside the deep state and they said, look, this is the corruption. Now they're in exile. I mean, to me, that is so obvious in such a fight worth fighting that when I wake up in the morning, I got nothing better to do than try to make a difference. Do you get what I'm saying? If I became an author as successful as George Orwell, I'd still die a failure because none of it worked.
Well, yes, but okay, but there has we don't, like Alex is always saying about the tipping point. Nobody knows where the tipping point is. There's some kind of
explain that to me. What do you mean the tipping point? What did Alex mean by that?
Okay, so people in the alternative world, in the spiritual world, in the spiritually awakened world, say that we are going through a great awakening, and that when X amount of people have fully awakened, then the tipping point will come and things will change. But nobody knows where the tipping point is, like how many people have to wake up. And there's some statistics that say it's 20%, some statistics say it's only 11%. It's a relatively small percentage of the entire population that need to be awakened in order for things to overturn.
Yeah, but I agree with that wholeheartedly. The concept. Okay. So when you talk about being awakened, all right, well, that's kind of a relative term. What does awakened mean to you? What new truths have you discovered that makes you now awakened?
Well, without meaning to sound arrogant, I think I've been awakened all my life because I was born that way. I told
Agreed.
you, when I was little, I was having thoughts that most little people don't have.
Right.
But
So awakened in your world, okay, means that you're more intuitive
yeah,
or more what's the word for it? Clairvoyant,
yeah,
or that your mind is able to easily recognize the spiritual realities as
yeah,
opposed to just the physical ones. Is that what you're saying by awakened?
yes. And then
Okay.
I became politically awakened prior to COVID, but certainly through all of that nonsense,
Right. Right.
really woke me up in that sense.
Okay. And so when you say awakened, do you believe that you, by being awakened, you now understand what's right and wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the awakening, when they talk about the tipping point, where's the beginning of the awakening? Where does that start? Who's got the information? What's the accurate information that we're giving to this 20% to tip it? What is that information to awaken?
Well, I mean, that's like saying how long's a piece of string, isn't it? Because there's many layers to it. But the primary layer, which Alex talks about, is that, hey guys, we're not a meat machine. We are consciousness having an embodied human experience.
Okay, and
we're not just a meat suit. That's got to be number one. You're doing a little dance there.
Oh shoot, I'm just gonna turn that on for a second. I can't hear you so well, but okay, now all right, so the premise that Alex is pushing, okay, which is 100% accurate, this materialism type thing.
Yeah.
What percentage of the population do you believes that? I don't know anybody on this planet that would think we are just robots. I've never met one that thinks that. I've never seen a podcast of somebody that thinks that. But Alex certainly would know if people believe that. And like he said, this one dude, this demonic dude, sold like 30 million books. Who's buying these books? Who are these people that believe that stuff? It's got to be just deep state people. Your typical human being that I walk to, I mean, just bump into. Everybody's into peace and spirituality, and I don't see anybody that's thrown in the towel and think this is all just an exercise, but they might be out there. I just don't know who they are.
Well, I wonder if that's a cultural difference, because here in Essex, in the southeast of England, I would say most people think that this is it, this material, get rich, have a lot of money, have a lot of stuff, have a nice house. It's all about materialism. I don't see many people at all thinking that there's much. They don't even consider what might be beyond death.
Well, and that could be true. I just haven't, and I guess I've met some simpletons that have never really given it any thought, but I've never met anybody sophisticated that came to that conclusion. I mean, other than the Bill Maher's of the world and people who just, there's a host of people that want to state that there's no such thing as accountability because they don't want to be accountable for what they've done. They're despicable human beings. And if all of a sudden there's going to be some sort of justice at the end, that's not a vision I want to spend time. I'm just speculating. But my point is, if we understand the information that's required to create the Great Awakening, and we understand that there's such thing as a tipping point, which means enough information has reached society that it tips. When it tips, what happens? What happens?
Then hopefully we won't all be buying into these systems. They'll all collapse and we will start.
We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice because the vote has been corrupted. So you're not going to awaken these people that are in power. They could give a shit. They're already awakened. They don't care. Okay. And if you look at when you say Southern England or what be it, these people, when we consider the fact that all of these human beings, their conscious soul was alive before they were born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're all intelligent. They're all capable of either buying into this materialism premise or seeing the light. Doesn't matter what family you grew up in. Doesn't matter what their parents had to say. Doesn't matter what their teachers had to say. Any human being can escape it. But the question is, if you and I get 1 million views and we're on the scrap heap of 1 billion different things, it makes no difference. We've reached nothing. And so that's where, again, you're going to see me impatient in terms of, I see this as a tool of which we can make a difference. And that's where I come in saying, I want to be the bouncer, because I believe these facts give you credibility. They give you vindication. But these facts also indict your opposition. It makes it clear where the awakening is, and that is freedom. That's the awakening. The great awakening is people realizing this is crazy. We have, through our own words and our own volition, the ability to turn this planet around on a dime if we start using the correct narrative that indicts these people. And that's what fact number 1 does. It says, if you do not see the world this way, you are in inherent danger to my liberty. And that makes you no longer a friend. You might be a mother, a sister, but your ideologies in your mind are dangerous. And to me, that's the great awakening, is creating the dichotomy between who's right and who's wrong. And if we can get that dichotomy to split the planet, now we made a difference in a big way, because these facts hold, like, for example, we got local elections going here. The parade was filled with all types of politicians, right? Some say Democrat, some say Republican. I don't have to get on that ticket. What I need to do is call that congressman and go, here's my 10 facts. I'm going to run through them real quick. Let me see what you think. And you identify the people who are running. You go into that deep state and you hold them accountable to the facts, not the people on the outside like us that are enlightened. We go in and we expose with truth. Now, this is where I'm glad you're a psychologist, because that really sounds delusional, doesn't it? Talk about grandiose plans. I live my life truly believing, until somebody proves me wrong, the Holy Grail is a protected portal to peace, to truth in a sea of deception. Right now, we live in a media and everything that is completely full of shit. These people have us convinced that even though they've squandered trillions of dollars, they're still the best hope for our problems in this world. That's insane. And that is not going to change without a lightning bolt of information. And again, it can start out with one. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing this, but and I don't even know what your agenda was, but do you get what I'm saying? How this seems like, even if we were to reach basically immeasurable success, unless the agenda is accomplished, that says the words that we're pushing have created accountability and created a difference in this world, it's all for naught, I think.
Okay, well, I'm on a very different page to you.
Talk to me.
So on the one hand, I think there's a lot of naivety in your view, and on the other hand, I think maybe there's also an arrogance in it, if I might say, because people have to be ready. Number one, people have to be ready to hear. I don't believe that you can just say, right, sit down, I am going to enlighten you and I'm going to awaken you, if that person doesn't want to hear. Because as a psychotherapist, I know how important our belief systems are. You've got one, everybody's got a belief system, right? And you build your entire life on that. And what you're asking people to do is completely change their paradigm. And that's really frightening if you're not ready for it. So,
right.
So I think that's one obstacle. And also I think where I'm saying that maybe you're being arrogant is because the divine has got a plan. You know, this has been revealed to you. You are being used as the messenger for X amount of reasons. And you cannot know who you've touched, what people watching this have thought, how their lives have changed, how they might change somebody else. And I think that's the point that you're missing. You're saying if we reach 1 million people and nothing changes, but I know in psychotherapy that changes happen deeply inside somebody on all sorts of levels before you ever see any change manifesting in their daily life. Something happens inside. And I think that's the process. You, just by us having these conversations, you don't know what's changing.
Agreed. 100% with that. Okay. And now the use of the term arrogance. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really mean that you're arrogant as a person.
No, I get that. Because again, the term arrogance has an appropriate meaning and it's applicable in some cases. Excuse me, I just took a pop. In my world, arrogance is somebody who walks around thinking they're right. Okay. And confidence to me is somebody walking around knowing they're right. Okay. And in this case, like you say, you bring in a patient and change is difficult and painful, right? Okay. And so you can either take that patient, and again, each one of these patients are conscious souls that were fully alive before they were born. So their issue is an earthly issue that they're dealing with, right? And like my tattoo says, if we change their mind, their lives will slowly follow. So why would you not, in the attempt to change their life, start with the most important decisions first, however traumatic they might be? And again, I'm not forcing anybody to listen to this. What I am doing is getting rid of please and thank you. And on the flip side of it, I'm using somewhat insults or carefully chosen words that say, this book is dedicated to the willfully ignorant that refuse to read it. Okay, that's my way of saying you need to come to the conversation. Okay, because we know that your refusal to come to this conversation is a detriment to my freedom. And I'm done with please and thank you. If you're going to walk into the voting booth with a smile on your face and vote for the status quo, then I'm going to use words to compete with you. And I'm going to go, you are a selfish bastard because you're unwilling to understand how your selfish behavior is affecting the liberties of others.
But those people think that people that didn't wear face masks were selfish. Those people think that people that didn't get the vaccine are selfish, and they're fully convinced of their paradigm, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's where fact number one comes in and goes, that's fine what you believe, but just be clear. You believe the solutions to this world's problems are more government control. That's all you've proposed. And it turned out to be a complete charade where people died from COVID that never would have had you just been straightforward. So yes, your paradigm is, I believe COVID is all real. Fair enough. Let's be clear. You are for control. You are an adversary of those that have been enlightened. Now, just be clear. Now, open your mouth and defend COVID, knowing clearly that your only solution is to corral the people even tighter according to your vision for this world. And truth be told, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. And I would like to go toe-to-toe with somebody who can make a difference. And this is where you come in, because again, I can go out and do this, but to have others that see the virtue in what we're trying to do, you give me the credibility, unless you're in opposition to it. But if you're in opposition, again, we haven't been through the top 10 facts. So there's some unfinished business in terms of what this message is, because as we go through the facts, the top, number 10 fact talks about equality. Okay, that's a big one. There are all kinds of people more along the lines of Alex's materialism scenario. Okay, there are more people that are. Shit, I forgot my train of thought. What was I saying? A squirrel ran by. No, shoot, and it was a good point.
It'll come back.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't remember it. I'm sure it was going to be profound.
All right. Okay. So look, you're impatient and you want to talk to the people that can make a difference, i.e. those in power. How are you going to do that then? If a million,
I think these podcasts, I think that this recording, okay, is again, it's no different than us leaving a voicemail for somebody. Okay, why can we not record this and use the term Oprah Winfrey and say, hey, Oprah, on this video at time 7 minutes and 37 seconds, I'd like you to take a look at what these people are talking about. And she can either run for it, but I mean, I don't understand why we can't chase these people down. I mean, we can wait our turn, but on the flip side, it seems like, who's the CNN anchor? Who's the news desk? Can't we force this stuff onto their desk and make them answer to it?
But why do you think they would?
Well, they won't. They're going to run from it because it exposes them. But that doesn't mean we can't, we just keep hitting them with it. And I just, again, Oprah Winfrey, I just use that as an example because she's a huge government globalist control freak. She's got her trillions of dollars of which Black America and her neighborhood is impoverished. So that's the type of stuff. And again, if we're rattling Oprah's cage, that's a hell of a lot better than just waiting for this thing to grow on its own.
But why? But that's my point. Why do you think they're going to listen and wake up? These people have if you want to control the whole planet, you have signed up for the darkness, and you and I are of the light, aren't we? They've signed up for the darkness. They're not interested in. You think that they don't know any of these truths? Of course they do.
Well, I think they do, but I want them to fall asleep at night knowing the consequences. Okay, because
I don't think they give a shit.
Well, then that's a danger to you and I. So we using words, we remove their power. In Oprah's case, we remove her money. We say Oprah will not answer to this.
But I think that most people in this field say that ultimately the powers that be are frightened of us, the common man. That's why they need to control us so much, because there's far more of us than there are of them. And I'm just saying, from my point of view, I think there's a more realistic view, which is that when enough of my colleagues bloody wake up and realize that actually we don't have to take this shit, and if everybody turned up at the local garage and said, I'm not paying that much for that fuel, I'm only going to pay you 50% of that, and if we all bloody well did that, then they wouldn't have a choice. But the trouble is, we don't all band together, do we?
We don't, but that's why you and I are having this conversation. We're going to change that. That sounds arrogant, okay? But if it isn't stated, if we're not going to do it, who is? Okay, if you look at the reach of some of the most powerful freedom fighters, okay, again, I've never listened to Joe Rogan, but the people that I know that listen to him, I know they're enlightened. I know they appreciate freedom. So I got a feeling Joe Rogan's on the right path.
Yeah.
Okay, so whoever that might be. But that's who we bond with. If Joe Rogan looks at this, and he will get it, he will understand the importance, the way again, it's so crucial to remove it from me and it being an idea of mine. Okay, because that first fact that says we're alive, that doesn't belong to anybody. That's just a fucking truth that we need to realize, all of us. And that is, we're alive. Listen, we're in this together. We're getting screwed in this deal. And the accountability that comes with it is more important than the knowledge. You're already enlightened. You can read the fact. You're not learning anything new. What that fact does is hold people who are not like you accountable. And that's the most important distinction. And again, we're talking about a song that hasn't been listened to or hasn't been written yet. In other words, what I'm proposing to take to Joe Rogan, you have not seen yet. We haven't gone through the whole process, because if we do, there's other hard-hitting things in there that are absolutely accurate, and it changes the dynamics of the conversation. That way, when you talk about your colleagues that know this, not your colleagues, but individuals on earth that are crystal clear about what we're saying, but they don't care. Again, that's categorized, and that's important. These people either don't understand, they're captive, or they're censored. Again, if I'm in the British Parliament or in one of your parties, I don't get to be honest if I disagree with the party line. I mean, I do, but I don't. You know, so there's certain things that, like you said, they've involved themselves. Now they're tied up in it. So even if they were to agree with the premise of the facts, they're censored. Okay. So it's either they're ignorant, they don't know what we're talking about, which is most of the planet. No offense, that may sound arrogant, but this is a pretty sensible conversation that the world needs to have. There are those that would agree with it. It causes a dichotomy. They realize they're on the wrong side, but there ain't a damn thing they can do about it. And the others are just corrupt. Absolutely. They've got ulterior motives. They're basically lining their pockets. Their bills are paid. They got no reason to roll back the controls in this world, because I live in Washington, D.C. My house is the size of a mansion. I've been working for the government for 6 generations. Why would I want anything to change? My $250,000 pension comes in nicely every year. That shit has to stop. And you're not going to get it to stop without either fighting with gloves, guns, or words. And the words are the most effective. So I'll bet none of this had to do with your agenda today.
No, I didn't come with an agenda because of last time. I said to you, you can lead it and you can ask the questions.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Is that what you want to do?
Well, I think...
Well, I'm kidding. I want to follow you seriously, because my impatience toward that has nothing to do. Your plan to unfold these things was brilliant. It's perfect. I love it. It's just I have a patience problem. You're not wrong. I am.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to read fact number 4. Your fact number 4. We are a conscious soul. Light versus darkness. Our human body is physical energy. Our conscious soul is spiritual energy. Our conscious soul will awaken after we die, and our human body becomes an inconvenience for those who loved us. Life is an illusion. Solids are not solids, they're illusions of solids. Earth itself is an illusion. The combination of gravity and matter give conscious souls the illusion of a planet to which we can navigate our lucid dreams.
Okay. So when I hear you read that, I see it as 100% accurate. And I see it as information that every human being should understand. They don't have to agree with it, but it's a starting place for logic. It's a logic, right? It's saying, listen, there's 2 types of energy. One is inside me. It keeps me thinking. It's completely indifferent because I've watched the bodies get dumped and burned. You know, when we're done with them, we chuck them. All right. So it's obvious that there's 2 types of energy. Now, what happens with the spiritual energy once the body is chucked? Well, NDAs have proven time and time again that your spirit is alive. You go into the other side and you're well enough alive. So I forget what the rest of the facts said, but that's crucial. Now, someone can disagree with it, but did it not open up their eyes to the enlightenment or the Great Awakening in terms of?
Well, I think that in the world of consciousness studies, from whatever perspective that might be, I think there are essentially two views. And one is that consciousness emerges from the workings of the brain. And the other is that consciousness is primary, which is what you and I are saying, that consciousness comes first. Right. And it's just over here having a Lucinda experience, and it's over there having a Matt experience. And if you fully get that and subscribe to that and know that, then your attitude to life and living and death actually is fundamentally different. It gives
better or worse?
Better, of course.
I agree. Okay, so who are the people that don't get this yet, that need this fact? Okay, because most of the people I know are completely aware of the spiritual aspect of their life.
Yeah, I would say not. You
run into people that believe that. Do you still run into a bunch of people that are completely uncertain?
Yeah, you've frozen.
In terms of what the meaning and purpose of this whole thing is? Still uncertain? Oh.
Yeah. But again, let's just get the cultural thing out of the way. where you are, where are you in the country? Are you south, east, west? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm northern America, up in Minnesota.
Okay, so I think as a whole, the States is altogether a little bit more Christian thinking than we are over here, and I think that has a cultural impact. So I think we're much more secular here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand that. I mean, and again, if, do we need people to, I think you do. I think that something has to, again, are you paying attention when I'm writing that little, I shared a link with you. Anyways, I'm moving on that part where I've got the facts listed and I've got some strategy behind it. And, but I think there's a process that needs to unfold before the mind is ready for this.
Okay.
Like in other words, one of the most important things I go through at the outset, what I'm going to do with the kids is to say, listen, do you understand the difference between indoctrination and cognitive thought? Okay. So I say indoctrination is me telling you what you should believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And I was indoctrinated. Okay. We're all indoctrinated. When we come into this planet, we're privy to what our teachers say, our parents say, what be it. So it's part of life is you're indoctrinated. What's crucial is that you're able to recognize an indoctrination and rise above it. Okay. So now you see Islamic indoctrination, Christian indoctrination, whatever it might be, because you are above indoctrination.
Yeah.
You now recognize it. And that's where cognitive thought arises. And cognitive thought is the acquiring of knowledge through our senses, through our thinking, or whatever. I got the definition somewhere, but you get what I'm saying. It's so crucial that when they go into it, that's saying this is not an indoctrination. This is opening the mind so you understand how thoughts work, how you draw your own conclusions, how you establish right and wrong.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you cognitive thought. I'm not indoctrinating you. So that's crucial. So now when we go through it, every person, regardless of what their indoctrination to this point has been, should be enlightened by these words. They might, either way, it's going to open up the mind to things I hadn't considered. Things are now being confirmed, those types of things. And that's where I believe it's magical. Look at the 10 Commandments. Okay, we're to believe somebody went up and got the stones, which again, the parable around it means nothing to me. What matters is what letters did they put in that stone? And if you look at the letters in the stone, they don't, where they effed up was saying the 10 Commandments. It should be the 10 contemplations. Should I kill people? Nah. Should I steal? Nah. Should I covet thy neighbor's wife? Nah. Okay, they're not commandments. They're fucking common sense. And the first 5 are saying, listen, there's a power source out here, okay, and it loves you. And you'd be wise to pay some recognition to it because it can change your life. So if you look at the 10 Commandments, had they sent the 10 contemplations, the whole world would probably agree with them. Well, I mean, except the selfish people. Because again, if you look at every 10 Commandment, it's simply designed to protect ourselves from each other. It's not saying don't do selfish behavior. It's saying if you do this behavior, you will hurt someone else. And okay. So, all right, last thing. So why are the 10 facts any less significant than the 10 Commandments? Tell me that, and I will. Tell me why what the rules we're saying are not to benefit us. Well, they do. They benefit everybody. Same with the 10 Commandments. I know that sounds grandiose, and now you know my family's sick of it, but I need you to prove me wrong.
Okay, well, I'm going to push back on one point.
Boy, won't this be fun?
Yes. So
he ain't scared of you at all. At all. Not at all.
Of course not. So we're a conscious soul. So this morning, I thought I was doing a podcast with a lady who does this form of therapy, but it's not talking therapy like I do. And you can have 1 or 2 sessions, she says, and your problems are solved. And essentially, the way the problems are solved is that she takes you through an exercise that shows you that you are not your body, you are not your experiences, you are not your feelings, you are not your thoughts. Your essential conscious self is so much further beyond that and not really bothered by that. So like when you were saying to me the other week, it doesn't matter what's happened in our past lives, you could have been raped by pirates or whatever, it's of no consequence.
That might have been wishful thinking.
Because the essential part of your being is always as it is, pure and unadulterated. But my problem with that is, then what is the point in us being human incarnate? And this is where I think these spiritual ideas miss the point. The divine chose to give us incarnation in a human body for a reason, to be associated with our thoughts, to be associated with our feelings, to experience suffering and to learn from that. So I don't think, so I think if we just say, well, that's all irrelevant, and ultimately we're this spiritual self, we miss something important about this life on this plane, this material, earthly, human plane.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, no. I mean, again, I'm not sure I fully grasped what this gal's concept was. Okay, but without question, there's a purpose behind us becoming human. And again, the conversation should become really obvious. That's saying, all right, obviously we chose to come here or we were forced. But the fact that it's proven our spirits were alive before we were born, right? NDAs, they all feel like they're home for the most part. Yes. I shouldn't say all, but they, in other words, you're not going to get that feeling of home unless you've been there before.
Yes.
Fair enough. Okay. And so now we're on this planet, and without question, the only way to reconcile a creator that permits evil and suffering, the only way to reconcile those two is to realize the evil and suffering is with purpose.
Yes.
Which, if you look at 90% of the scripture, what be it, that's what it's all saying. Listen, we're here to take the punches. Those are what make you grow. Your character is an accumulation of your deficiencies, more so than your attributes.
Yeah.
Okay. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that type of stuff. So anybody who would deny or try to diminish the relevance of that, I would think is wrong. They're certainly entitled to their opinion, but no, hell no, man, this is a huge endeavor. We should study and figure out what the whole design and purpose is. And again, in its simplest sense, I think the only way you can square it logically is to say that's why we're here. We come from the light. In the light, there's nothing but forgiveness. There's no trials or tribulations. There's nothing. So to me, that's the most sensible conclusion anybody could ever draw. And that's where we start. And now this gal can differ with that. That's fine. She's saying what? That it's this experience is just for naught.
I don't know. That's the question I would like to ask her. I
thought you already met with her. You haven't met with her?
Well, no, I was meeting with her. I thought I was meeting with her to do a podcast to ask these questions. And she said, no. I want you to have the experience of this treatment so that you know.
Oh, shit.
Which I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm skeptical about it. But
all right. But now, would it have moved somebody without your intellect?
Say that again.
Would it have moved somebody that wasn't as awakened as you? I mean, maybe it didn't have an effect on you because you're not of need like somebody else might be. But
well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know yet. The jury's out. I'm not really sure. But so essentially, she takes you back to what would be a painful memory, let's say, and she says, "What's happening? What are you experiencing?" So it might be that you're experiencing rage, and then she gets you to revisit that scene, and she says to you, "Well, who's watching that?" And you say, "Well, I'm watching that." And then she makes you realize that the you that's watching this scene is separate to what's happening in this scene, and therefore why are you letting this scene bother you? Because it isn't you. It's not happening to you, which is a bit like your idea of change your mind, change your life.
Well, yeah, agreed. I mean, it's all information to try to help the human mind discover this stuff and set itself free. So I get it. I would think her again. What she's doing is some sort of little indoctrination, right? That's saying, "Listen, I want you to think about these things, and I'm not telling you what to think, but if you consider these things, you should be able through your own volition to perceive the world a little differently."
Yeah.
All I know is I'd love to see what her plan is. I'd like to put it side by side with the facts. I think the facts will dramatically change someone's perspective of the world. And I'm not sure how hers does, but bottom line is I love the approach. She's trying to help the human mind grasp what's real.
Mm.
And from that, you should derive peace. I mean, again, if you look at any of your patients, me included, no matter what our troubles are, they get resolved by understanding what's true, even if it's difficult to swallow. And in some cases, if you're going to rattle somebody out of their own paradigm, you got to use different tactics other than please and thank you. Like I get it with a therapist. If I walk in there and you're trying to tell me what to do, I'm going to react the opposite.
Yeah.
No question about it. You need to figure out a way for me to come to it through my own volition.
Yes.
That's everybody. That's everybody.
That's my point. So we're a conscious soul. What do you think of the concept of karma from the perspective of being a conscious soul? Does that even figure? Does that come into it?
Right,
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, karma is like this. I mean, if you look at my history in terms of my drinking problem and everything, okay, I racked up all these DWIs. Okay, is karma? Okay, again, DWIs are drunk driving arrests.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, nothing I'm proud of, but it is who I am. I mean, I was complete alcohol pulled me under. So is karma, I mean, if you look at the difficulties I caused for myself and my family, okay, basically that's karma beating the hell out of me for the decisions I made. Is karma necessarily something that happens in the afterworld? And yes, it is, because we're forced to revisit the pain we've caused. That's called karma. Okay, but in a physical sense, in my life, the moment I do somebody wrong, chances are I'm going to get punched somewhere later in my life for that. It kind of equals itself out. But so I believe karma is absolutely, and I believe karma contradicts. There's a lot of have you ever heard the Christian belief that says you cannot get to heaven through good works? It can only be through belief.
Yeah.
Like all you have to do is believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe that's absurd. Absolutely absurd, because if I go to church every day and I come home and I'm a complete asshole to my family, it has nothing to do with what I believe.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to say your belief in Jesus causes you to live in that frequency that says it's about others. Yeah. Now through Christ, you have realized that it's not about you, it's about others. All you have to do is believe in Jesus. Okay. I don't believe that's true, because I believe if you believe in Jesus, and again, I use the term Jesus because that's the name for the guy that walked the planet. That's the name for the human being that started all this. But it goes way beyond that, because it's the words that came from his mouth that matter. If you look at what the Prophet Muhammad said, and if you look at what Jesus said, they're completely different. One is saying that I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and that is through others. If you treat your neighbor, you'll get into my frequency. You can live heaven on earth in a frequency of love through my example and my words, is the way I see it. So it has nothing to do with the belief in Jesus. It has to do with, if the belief in Jesus causes a change in your behavior toward putting others first, then that's salvation through Jesus.
What about the karma for these people that are of the darkness?
I would think that karma is beating the shit out of them every day as a human being, that they live in nothing but fear. In other words, the penalties are putting out. When I make a bad decision, I lay there in fear of its consequences. And think of like an American prison. Okay, every time they open the cell door, you're in fear. It's like hell. I mean, the opposite of peace and love is fear and darkness. So if you're a conscious soul that got put into a prison, your peace is when the cell door is shut. The moment the cell door opens, you're in fear just like hell. Constant fear. And I would think the Barack Obamas of the world and all these people just have a disgust for themselves that every day as a human being is just lived in fear and disgust for what's been done, what the consequences might be. I mean, I just believe they're in so deep. But I believe the facts, if the facts ended up on Barack Obama's desk, I believe the guy could have a change of heart and go, holy shit, I'm a control guy. I'm going to free everybody. But I don't know.
What do you think about the idea that a lot of people have that these elite are Satanists and that they use magic and they know how to harness power, magical power? What do you think about that?
I think our only hope, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, what else has a globalist got to do with his day than light some candles and sit around and pray to Satan? You know, I mean, these people are fucked. Sorry, they're crazy. I mean, think about it. Bill Gates, all that power, and what does he end up doing? That's a psychopath. Good God! Instead of housing Skid Row,
yeah,
he's out making viruses.
Yeah.
Anyways, what was the question you said? What about these people that are in the darkness? Say that again, please.
So we were talking about karma, and so I was saying, but what about these people, these globalists? They think that there's an idea that they know how to harness power and through magical means.
Right.
So are they bothered about karma? Are they bothered about repercussions?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I mean, imagine being that notable on this planet and looking back. I mean, imagine you've been, you know, if you're a politician, you've been in Washington for 30, 40 years, and you look at the pure despair in the inner cities. I mean, drugs and crime. And how can you sleep at night? How can you sleep at night when you know that through your corruption that has never been solved and it will never be solved? I just believe if they have and some people maybe don't. I mean, if you sold your soul to the devil, maybe you don't wrestle with guilt. You know, they're sitting there doing these types of rituals and thinking this is what we think is best for this planet, given the power we wield. That's some sick.
But you see, it's the left-hand path, isn't it? Which is all about self. I don't think they're thinking about the bloody planet. I don't think they're thinking about their fellow humans. I think,
well, so again, in the facts, selfishness in its simplest sense is demanding that others conform to your paradigm of the world.
Yeah.
So these people are completely 100%. And again, that's what I call a demon. A demon is somebody on earth that is 100% selfish, zero humility.
Yes.
So literally, these are demons. We can legitimately call Bill Gates a demon. Okay, because where are the demons? Are there demons on earth? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Right? Okay, who are they?
The evil people.
Well, they're people with massive amounts of power that have freaking sinister alternative motives.
Yes.
Yeah. So you and I are going to go talk to these people.
But that's where we part ways, because I don't think they give a shit.
Well, so do we just sit back? What if I don't know. I guess maybe I'm delusional is I believe these people are all reachable, especially with platforms like this. I mean, if somebody's watching this thing and we go, hey, listen, if you like what we're saying here and you agree with it, do me a favor, take this video, everybody that hears this, and send it to Bill Gates.
I don't think he'd care. Honest to God, I don't think he'd
care. He might not care. He's not going to care because it's going to expose him. He's fighting off this type of stuff his whole life. But that doesn't mean we can't just make his life miserable, just not go away. Until he talks to us.
Well, yeah, I mean, what needs to happen is so very simple. In words, they just need their power taken away. Nobody on the planet should have that level of power or that much money.
Agreed. So how do we take his power? How do we take his money?
Well, as I said, I think it's when enough of us go.
Okay, but then what? Let's say we all know it. What are we going to show up at his door? What are we going to do to take his power?
Show up at his door? Yeah, pitchforks. It's pitchforks.
Well, we only need you and I. Where's the guy live? I got this. I don't need more people, man. We'll just show up. I'll grab him like this. I'll go, I can't touch.
Well, we wouldn't even get through security, and you know it.
We will. We'll use your pretty face. Come on in. Come on in. No, anyways, you get it. It's all hypothetical.
Yes.
But I want to take the fight to the people that matter. And how that's done, I just believe it's a worthy cause, and we bully our way in. I mean, right now we could, like, again, with the so-called insurrection on January 6th. Okay, so circle the Capitol like they were doing, or whatever it might be. But that's one way to get someone's attention.
Yes.
Okay, even though they showed up with no guns, they still got the world's attention. Okay, now the world was able to turn that into a bunch of, disgruntled hillbillies. But truth be told, that is the freedom force right there. That there's only two parties in this world. There's control and freedom. I don't care if you want to call them Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. The mind of that human being is either for freedom or control. And the people that circled the Capitol that day are not going to give up their freedom without a fight. Regardless of what the media did, now they're doing hearings and all this stuff. It was an insurrection. They're trying to overthrow the government. Truth be told, is the government should be overthrown. These people cannot help themselves. They need an outside force to help them save themselves. Now, you're going to have the globalists and all the freaking power people are going to hate this.
Coming back to consciousness again.
Yes.
So you say the combination of gravity and matter give conscious souls the illusion of a planet to which we can navigate our lucid dreams. So thinking of that idea that this is a lucid dream, everything's an illusion, matter isn't really solid, etc., etc. What do you think of the idea that some people have that this is all a game? So basically, we're no different than a computer game.
Right, like a matrix.
Yes.
And it's all simulated.
Yeah, a simulation, yeah.
Yeah. Well, those people are more accurate, or have the chance of being accurate, more so than the Bill Maher's of the world that believe it's all by happenstance. Okay? Yeah. Those people that believe there's no intelligence or no source, this is just some universe creating these little people, those guys are insanely stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay?
It's just
now the ones that believe it's a simulation, okay, there's actually some credence to that in this regard, and that is the intelligence is right in our atmosphere. These guys are either bored doing something else, or they're paying attention to what's happening, right? Now, and that means that technology, spaceship and everything, simulation, all that stuff is available. Now, where we're not being simulated is we definitely have our own volition. No question about it. There's no computer that can make me stand up and do anything if I don't want to. So that's where they're wrong. It might be a simulation in terms of being observed, but it's certainly not a simulation in terms of where they're controlling the players. You have your own volition. There's look at it. You're not plugged into anything. Anybody simulating you? No way. That's crazy. How could I be simulated? What are they going to make me do next? I'd like what they do if I'm simulating. I'd like if they could take my character and go make me a millionaire. That'd be nice. Yeah, this ain't no simulation.
Well, an argument to that, I can't name the actual research, but there's some research that suggests that, say I want to put my arm up. There's some research that suggests that your arm is already going up before you've even had that thought, I want to raise my arm.
Yeah, I'd like to see some evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can speculate. Hey,
well, it's a piece of research.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in looking at it. I gravitate toward common sense. And that, to me, sounds like valuable research, very valuable research in terms of, is that happening? But I would certainly need to see something that pulls my... I just believe I have my own volition, no question about it.
So do I, but that's I was just throwing that in because people will argue that idea of free will, won't they? They'll say, oh, well, you think you've got free will, but actually you haven't.
Well, again, if that person's arguing it, you know how I go on and all of a sudden I run out of things to say. What do these people do? There's no way they can defend it. What research do they have? I mean, is there anything to defend that? other than pure speculation. Like when I'm defending that we're a spirit and we're alive and we have our own volition, I have mountains of evidence to prove it, from, caretakers to stories of, it's just the mountain of evidence that our spirit lives on and that we are free is insurmountable. So what do these people bring to the table? This one was saying a conscious soul, the lucid. Oh, we talked a little bit about the planet Earth and the matter.
Yes.
Okay, so if you look at the physics of the world, there's matter in the universe. The only reason that matter comes together and creates an Earth is something called gravity. That's it. It's gravity and matter. Okay. And if we didn't have gravity and matter, our conscious souls are still floating through the spiritual world. Due to gravity and matter, you gave me a body.
Yes.
Okay. And now I'm stuck right here.
Yes.
And in this body, I have options. Do I piss and moan or fucking make the dream better? That's it. But I'm stuck in this body until I die. And so that's what that fact is, the conscious soul. You're in a conscious soul. The world is not freaking real. It's an illusion. That desk in front of you could dissipate under the right circumstances. It's an illusion. You can knock on it, but you can knock on illusions. And if you push this narrative on the national scene, that, my friend, is your tipping point right there. Trust me. We don't have to wait. We just got to get it done. Let you and I finish the song. Okay, I'm going to go through it with my kids. So we'll have progress there that I can send you. We'll go through it again with you and say, this is our song. These are our 10 things we'd like Oprah to comment on. And then we make a list of the most influential people in the world, and we fucking never stop until they answer us. Starting with the fucking Rothschilds. Where do those guys live?
I've no idea.
Can we go knock on the Queen's door? Hey, it's Matt and Lucinda. Can we come in? I'll bet we can get an appointment with her because of you. She has to talk to you. You're the bomb. All right. So do you get the plan here? We're not going to. That would be fun for you to sit down and have some tea with the Queen. Did I tell you that I love you?
Oh, you've just told me. I was waiting for it.
You realize too, that is not appeasement. Huh? You are something else. Yeah. God bless you, man, for doing this with me. I mean, I think it's going to succeed. I think it's going to be a big thing. I think we're going to make a difference, and it's all going to come back to this beginning.
Okay.
Yep.
I trust you.
Yeah. So, all right. Are you good to go?
Yes.
No, I don't get to talk to you until again on Friday, or can I schedule my little one with you sooner?
Friday.
Friday. That's not fair. How do your patients do it? Dang. Yeah. They're probably just pacing themselves. What day is it? Thursday? Oh, man. No, that's good. I appreciate the time, my friend.
All right, my darling. So, yeah, same time next week, yeah?
Can't wait. I'll get to that this morning. I'll get back to you.
All right, bless you.
Yeah, same. Bye-bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
Bye. That's it, wise ones. If you enjoyed the chat with Matt, then please like and subscribe. Fact number 4, we are a conscious soul.